Hi again, I'm back with another one of these. Uh, Not a cover this time, it's going to be more like the standard style that I seem to put out around the weekend time. It's typically Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Monday when I forget, because I do that a lot. But I'm going to continue on the theme of this whole lockdown thing because I think it's quite. Obviously, it's a very big part of our lives at the moment, isn't it? It's not exactly something we can avoid. And something I wanted to do from the start of these, and I've said it in other videos, is make a point of raising awareness of mental health, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. It's not exactly what I mean, because I think I'm very blessed to be born at the time that I am, where although the mental health system is not perfect, and it's far from it in fact, it's at least a more well-known and recognised thing. So me doing this isn't considered, a bit out there. And I'm very blessed to have that. And I know a lot of people in the past haven't had that sort of freedom. So today's one's a bit more, I guess, somber in time, because, to be honest with you, I'm struggling. I am really struggling with this lockdown, if I'm being real. I mean, I've gone from at least going out every other day to not really leaving the house. And it's really hard, because something that I've found, at least, and it might be quite a common thing, I don't want to talk from anyone else's experience but my own, but when you struggle with things like depression and anxiety, when you have things to do in your day and places to go and things like that, you can kind of drown it out a bit. But when your worst enemy is yourself and your mind, and you're stuck with that, all day, every day, and there's nothing really to dull that, I guess is the word, it's a bit of a struggle. And I'm not going to lie, I've had a bad week because of it. A lot of good stuff's happened, and I'm very blessed to have what I have in my life. But it's not easy. I'm still very privileged and very blessed, but to say it's been easy is not true. So I wanted to focus on that. Not necessarily, me feeling sad, or whatever you want to call it, me struggling, I guess is probably a better way to put it. I more want to focus on the idea of that perceived weakness, and how God's very good at making that a point of strength. I mean, I know that's something that we talk about a lot, and it's something that we rightfully should talk about a lot, but I think we should really delve into the idea that just because you're having a bad day, just because you're struggling, it doesn't mean you're weak or worthless. In fact, it's a great strength. And I'm going to start with just a passage that I love. It's 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, I am strong." Now, we use that verse a lot. Well, I've seen it used a lot, and rightfully so. It's a very encouraging message for us. The thing is, that isn't as easy as going, okay, I'm alright now. Now I'm having a bad day. Now I'm feeling a bit weak. Now I'm feeling strong. It's a commitment you need to make. It's a choice you need to make. You need to choose to be content with these things. And it's not easy. I know it's not. It's a real struggle, in fact, because these things are still difficult. You still have to suffer the weaknesses, the hardships, the insults, the persecutions, the calamities. You still struggle through those things, even when they're turned to God's good, which he does, because he's good and loving. That's what he does. That's who he is. It doesn't mean we don't go through it. Something I say to a lot of people is, I should say it more to myself. And it's something along the lines of, give me a sec. I'm not good at remembering things, if you couldn't tell. It's something along the lines of, just because other people may be suffering worse than you, that doesn't mean that you're not suffering. Because you're still going through it, even if you compare it to someone else, and that gives you a bit of perspective. It doesn't mean you're not struggling. It doesn't mean that life isn't hard right now. It doesn't mean that things are perfect, because they're not. We need to be a people where we can say, I'm in a hard time in my life. Not everything's going how I want it to go. Life isn't perfect. There's lots of struggles and hardships right now, but I'm going to choose to give that to Christ. And for the sake of Christ, I am content with weakness. The thing is about weakness is, I think it's one of those words that we always associate with being bad. And that makes sense. Of course it does, doesn't it? Weakness is literally the opposite of strength. And when we're told that, we need to be strong and things like that, weakness is conceived as bad. But I think weakness is also real. And I think it's very important that we're not only real with each other, but we're real with ourselves. There are many things I'm not good at and I struggle with and I'm weak with. So I'm not exactly great in social situations for the most part. I really struggle with that, to be honest. I'm not very good at academic stuff. I'm just not. I love to learn, I love to think, but you put a test paper in front of me, we're not getting anywhere. But because I know these things, and because I can go, yeah, these aren't my strong, so I am weak in this regard, it allows me to have a bit of perspective on my life and go, I may be weak in this regard, but in other ways I can be strong and I can be, I can be a support to someone in that way. So, one of my really good friends is highly academic. Man's got a doctorate. So, we're not exactly on the same thinking level there, but we also work quite well together because of that, because he's a lot more academically driven. And, it's part of the wonderful part of being part of the body, isn't it? Is we all have different talents, we all have different gifts. And because of that, we can do so much together. And this kind of goes back to the point I was making, I think it was 2 videos ago, about the idea that as the body we need to be there for each other, and we should be there for each other. But we also need to understand that our moments of weakness do not define us. We're not cast in weakness forever. We're not cast in our insults and our hardships and our persecutions. We have the option to stand strong. And sometimes it's as simple as choosing that option. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, Lord, I'm struggling right now. And I'm in a real hardship of life. And I really need to get through this, but I can't do it without you. And I think even in saying that, that's making your weakness strength. Because you acknowledge where you're failing. You acknowledge where things are hard. And you're saying, look, this isn't through me, it's through you, Lord. And that's admirable. So I want to really encourage that. So I'm just going to end with a prayer and then do a little update thing at the end if you're interested. So, Lord, I thank you for our weakness. And we surely don't thank you for it at all, normally. But I thank you that in your strength and in our weakness we find you. We find our brothers and sisters in Christ, and we find out what you want to really instill in us in those times of hardship and our times of insult, in the times we feel insulted, in the times we feel let down. We know that you're still with us. So be with us in our hardship and our weakness, Lord, and carry us through. Pray all these things. Amen. So, quick update thing. I'm going to keep doing these, like I've said a couple of times. I think I'm starting to get a bit of a feel for it now. Next week or so, we should have something pretty cool up. It'll be a bit of a longer form video, because it warrants it. Believe me, it warrants it. But thank you for watching these. It means a lot to me. And I hope they're blessing you, and I hope they're helping you. I don't know. Just be blessed. So, thank you for watching, and God bless.